So the browser finally finds a computer, and then it sends a command and other info known as a header. But what happens when the computer doesn't know how to read it? Well, nothing. That's what web servers are for, to read and interpret the header and perform the appropriate action. Today we'll be learning how to make your own simple web server in C#. Basically what we're going to do is this. Just like a normal website, it loads a specific file from a given folder on our computer. See all this? These are the web browser headers I told you about. But we're more interested on this specific one because it tells us exactly what we want to do and what the browser wants. First, and possibly the most important step, is to turn off IIS Manager. So just look for it in your start menu and simply stop the server. If you need to restart your computer, then just do it. So let's create a console application in Visual Studio, and let's import a few things. Using system.net, and then using system.net.sockets, and using system.threading. These three things are going to help us handle the connection. Next, we're going to create a buffer, so static byte square brackets buffer equals new byte and in square brackets 1024. That'll pretty much suffice, and this will help us handle the receiving data, which is the browser headers. Next, we're going to create the socket on which our program's going to operate. So static socket, give it a name, server socket, that's what we're going to call ours, equals a new socket, and our IP address family will be just internetwork, that's just anything on the internet. Socket type is stream, and then our protocol is TCP. So now in our main method, we're going to first use console.readLine so it just doesn't quit on us right away. And then we're going to call a method we're going to create called setUpServer. This is self-explanatory. We're going to set up our server. Let's get rid of that throw new non-implemented exception. We don't need that. And now console.WriteLine, and then we're going to tell it to say setup server socket. Setting up server socket, just like that. Just so we know what it's doing. And then server socket dot bind new IP endpoint, and in parentheses IP address dot any, and use port 80. That part is important. And then also add a server socket dot listen and just choose a number. Then server socket dot begin accept new async callback, and we're going to create a new method called accept callback. And then our object, the state, is null. So now let's create accept callback. You can do that automatically. And get rid of throw new exception. And we're going to define a new socket, socket SCK equals server socket dot end accept. This is the client socket, or whatever is connecting to us. Then SCK dot begin receive buffer 0 buffer dot length. Then socket flags none. New async callback, and this is where we're going to define the receiving callback. So just use receive callback and SCK and the call. And now to restart accepting any new clients, any new people, server socket dot begin accept in parentheses new async callback refer to accept callback, and our status is null. Now let's actually create the receive callback method. There we go. And again, remove throw new non-implemented exception. Now we have to get the socket again, so socket SCK equals, and we're going to cast a socket AR, or async result dot async state. create some space, and now we're going to do a try loop just in case something fails, and we're going to catch a socket exception because that's more likely to occur. So try catch socket exception EX, but we're not going to do anything in there. Now, in the try block, let's save for progress. We're going to create an integer for the number of bytes we received. So int rec for received equals sek.endReceive, and in parentheses AR. And then create another byte array, byte square brackets, and then data buff outside equals new byte, and then rec. And now we're going to copy the contents of what was in our buffer into data buff. So array.copy buffer data buff rec. Give us a few lines. String text received equals encoding, and don't use Unicode, actually use ASCII. So encoding.ascii.getString, and then use data buff. We copy it so we don't have a bunch of blanks. We don't have a bunch of nulls. So now we're gonna write what we got, just so we know that we got something. So console.writeLine to text received. Now we're getting to the fun part. Our web server actually getting your files. So just create a folder somewhere on your computer, and remember it. I'm just gonna do it on my desktop. Let's name it video web folder. And in there, that's where you're going to put your website. So let's copy some files. And remember this? Well, now we're going to read that. More specifically, we're going to read the get part, because we're going to get certain files that your browser wants. And now we're going to check if the header contains the get command. So if text received.contains get in all caps, because it'll always be in all caps. Leave a space too. And then to get a certain file, we're gonna first define string path equals text received dot substring 0, and all the way to text received dot index of, and then the new line, or the first line break, pretty much. Just like that. And now we're going to check if part of path contains HTTP at the end. So if path.contains space HTTP, well, we're just going to get rid of that. So path.substring, and for a parameter, path.index of the first slash, and actually you need to use path equals path.substring, and then path equals path.substring 0 all the way to path.index of the first space, because the file will never contain a space. It'll have %20. Now, in the case something weird happens, like if there's a random space at the end, we're just simply going to get rid of it. So else, if path.ends with, for the parameter, just the blank space, path equals path.remove path.length -1. Just like that. Beautiful. Get out of that if statement, and we should have the path of our file. Now, we're going to replace all forward slashes with backslashes, so path.replace the forward slash with 2 backslashes. We use 2 because the backslash typically denotes an escape character or some fancy character, and make sure to precede this statement with path equals. Also, we're going to replace the %20 with an actual space. So path equals path.replace, %20, and space. Next we're going to get the full path, so string full path equals blank. If path is not simply the backslash, then we're actually going to get a file, the file you want. So the full path equals, and then the folder that you want, or that you created your folder in. So in this case I saved it to my desktop. I'm going to be lazy and use the full path, so C users Alex desktop, and then video web folder, and just simply concatenate the path. Else, if it is simply just a backslash, that implies that you're going to get index.html. So let's just copy paste it, and instead of path we're going to use index.html. Just like that. And now we're going to check if the file even exists. So if system.io.file.exists and the parameter is full path, then this is where we're going to send the data of the file. So we're going to create another byte array. So byte square brackets data equals system.io.file.read all bytes full path. And then we're going to send that. We're actually going to send this. So sck dot begin send data 0 data dot length socket flags dot none new async callback, and we're going to deal with that later. Just name it send callback. And our last parameter is sck. Like I said, we're going to deal with send callback last. Else, if the full path is a directory, then that implies you want index.html from that directory. So we're just going to clean up the string a bit to make it easier for us. So if the full path ends with a backslash, we'll take it off because we're going to just put it back. So if full path dot ends with the backslash, then full path equals full path dot substring 0 to full path dot index of, or last index of, excuse me, the backslash. And then once we do that, we're simply just going to copy and paste what we did before, and then concatenate backslash HTML to full path. Just like that. And at the end, to finalize everything, we're going to type sck.disconnect, and the parameter is true, so we can reuse it. Not like we need to, but just in case. And now we're actually going to create send callback, which is just a 2-line method. You'll see how easy it is. Get rid of throw new non-implemented exception. Get the socket, so same way as before, socket sck equals cast into a socket ar.async state. And now sck.end send and parameter ar. Let's test it. Go to localhost 127.0.1 and then take a look at the console, and look, that's our page. Isn't that amazing? And that's how to make your own web server in under 15 minutes. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope this helps. Hope this was cool. And if you did think it was cool, then please subscribe, like, share, favorite, all that stuff. See you next time. Bye.